Today, the news is readily available, and streams of consumption are abundant, making it more difficult for people trying to learn about current events to decipher what stories to consume. How is one supposed to find true and unbiased stories? So much information makes it very difficult to navigate, let alone trust what you're consuming. Since most news stories contain at least some bias, it's important to know the differences between bias and fake news. We all have biases, which factor into how we interpret news articles. Our opinions and leanings alter the way we perceive stories. Preconceived notions based on experience and political, social, familial, or economic backgrounds determine how one reads and understands news. Studies have shown how the mind can use biases, such as confirmation bias, to easily get around well-sourced facts. A famous study was done by Stanford University in 1975, consisting of graduate students. The researchers gave one group of students fake suicide notes and the others real ones. Before reading the notes, individual students from each group were asked how confident they would be discerning the real ones from the fake ones. The students who believed they would do well ended up doing no better than their counterparts. Even after hearing the results, the group who believed that they did well still thought they did better than the other group. The researchers concluded that impressions are remarkably perseverant. Follow-up studies at Stanford showed similar results, where people will sometimes put perception over reality to confirm their preconceived notions. The findings of these sort of situations can translate into the news. For example, if someone reads something contradictory to what they thought originally, it can make it that much easier to dismiss it. It's the responsibility of writing teams to remove biases to obtain the most objective story possible. However, media outlets also need to cater to their viewers and their emotions and opinions to gain a following. They have to decipher what's newsworthy and how to report it to garner the most attention from their base. This often leads to different stations and organizations giving different biases on the same story. If they dislike one side, they'll circumvent the other to please their consumers. This doesn't mean that the story is fake. A bias is not false information, but rather an attempt to fit a narrative at the expense of a more complete story. It relies on preconceived notions and prejudices to supply what the viewership would like to see. What biases have you spotted in the news? Tell us in the comments below. When the media reports fake or false news, they're pushing fabricated stories. The author writes the news stories out of context, falsified, lacking quotes, or from illegitimate sources. According to the University of Michigan's research guides, an article containing some truth but lacking in contextualization and verifiable sources is still fake news. Those with basic verifiable facts are misused to mislead the reader. Fake news can come in different packages with different intentions. Civilian journalist and founder of the citizen journalist organization, Bellingcat Elliott Higgins, listed 4 Ps about why false news spreads. Author Claire Wadle of First Draft expanded them to 8 in her article titled Fake News, It's Complicated. She found that the most contributing factors included poor journalism, parody, to provoke or punk, passion, partisanship, profit, political influence or power, and propaganda. These 8 motives can explain why one would want to spread false news and narratives. They often push their agenda for personal and selfish reasons. Both biased and fake news articles are misleading and are often created for personal gain. Content creators tell current events, meshed with opinion and tone, to fit their narratives. As long as the source is not claiming to report without opinion or bias, news sources will continue to do this. A fake news story will leave readers misinformed. Fake news is not bound to sources or relevant data, only the goals of those disseminating them. Objectivity often requires average people to cross-reference a variety of sources and check the validity of news. What are some examples of fake news that you've seen? Tell us in the comments down below.